Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, it's Zealous here. This is a Starfield video. I wanted to today talk about the exploration in Starfield. I wanted to first talk about the caves in Starfield because we did actually have a concept image released by Starfield a while ago actually, from what I remember, which was a cave system. And it didn't look like it had much of a, natural habitat in it. It seemed a bit alien, and I am wondering if that's going to be the way that they go about it, if that is going to be part of the space exploration in this game. We know that there could be, glacial caverns as well in this game, because that seems to be, from the concept art, something again that they seem to be going for. By the way, if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed, because it'll make sure that you see content like this more often. Subscribe to the channel and it'll help the algorithm. It doesn't really make much sense that these caves would be entirely empty. So realistically, it is going to be that something's gonna be in here, and that there's gonna, be some kind of loot or some kind of enemy to go kill. And so I assume that will come in the form of aliens to some extent, alien wildlife. I would actually, thinking about it, love to see some kind of like unethical practice used. Maybe in these caves you have to go export some kind of rare mineral to fuel the ships, and if you don't, the ship might not run, or that humanity might not be able to progress any further. But by doing that, it hurts the planet, or it hurts the wildlife or something. I think that would be a fun ethical dilemma, and something that again really we could see in Starfield, because that's the same kind of lines that Fallout 4 was treading in terms of ethical and moral dilemmas within each of the factions' arguments for why they're doing what they're doing. Now personally, I think that the space exploration probably will exist very similarly to how, I don't remember how many of you remember, but Outer Wilds felt very Bethesda-like. It felt almost like it was a Bethesda game, and I strongly expect Outer Wilds to be similar to Starfield in a lot of ways, but Starfield to be extended in scope and in terms of the concepts that they're tackling. Because Outer Wilds was, it was more about, the Outer Rim planets. It was about the people that are struggling, and it was about different factions and different people vying for control of this region. And in Outer Wilds as well, I don't know if you remembered, but you had a lot of, security areas with security-minded people. You had rebels, then you had rich people, and you also had people people trying to make it by in desolate areas. And that again is something I really expect to see in Starfield. So I think actually the most a modern example of what Starfield probably will be like is not anything near Mass Effect. I far more expect it to be something like Outer Wilds. The question to me is, would the developers of that game look at what Outer Wilds did and try to make sure that they do something different, or would they not watch Outer Wilds because they don't want to be influenced by it? I know that a lot of professionals in a lot of areas, if it's a creative work, will specifically not try to watch any of their counterparts or read their material because they don't want to be influenced by them and they want to make their own thing. My concern is that they could step on a lot of the same issues and mindset that Outer Wilds already has, and I'm interested to see how that plays out, if that is something that's going to happen. Now again, because Outer Wilds does it in a way where you just click the planet and you basically have a loading screen to get there, you never really get to travel in your ship. I do wonder if in Starfield it is going to be similar to Mass Effect, where you can travel around your ship. To me, that was a lot more interesting, exciting, it felt more immersive. I didn't like how much you could scan other worlds and get minerals, because I kind of actually got quite sidelined by that, and I felt like it kind of detracted from the experience, because I felt like I should do it, and then I kind of realised that there was no point and that I just had way too many resources now, and essentially I leveled my character in a way I didn't really need to. And I really hope that that isn't a way that Starfield goes down space exploration, because if they do, it could feel a little bit hollow, it could feel a little bit empty. I really do, again, hope that Bethesda does what they do good. They focus on story. It's something they didn't do for Fallout 76, and it really did suck that that was the case. So I'm really hoping that they still have the creative juices, the creative pedigree to really go for this. That could have actually been why Fallout 76 didn't have much of a story, because the people that work on the story were already working on Starfield during the development of Fallout 76, and I think that would make a lot of sense. We do know that they're going to use procedural generation for the worlds of Starfield. The question really becomes, are they using it for unplayable areas, terrain that you may see as you zoom out of the world as you travel away from it in a ship? Or is it going to be that you actually can, travel around that world to perhaps several different markers that have different missions on them? To me, really, what I'm looking for is depth, not breadth. I don't want to see, a wide array of planets in full detail with nothing in them. I want to see, full stories. I want to see full storylines. I want to see different characters interact. I want to see, interesting characters. I want to see funny characters. I want to see characters that I emotionally can connect with in a similar way to, you could with the Mass Effect 3 characters and the Mass Effect 2 characters especially. And I really want to see that. I actually feel that that's a way that, in general, Bethesda games really do fail, because companions don't die in Bethesda games from what I remember. And on top of the Bethesda games, the companions not dying, it's very rare that you see a character or even a faction die. And if the faction does die, it's normally the one that you didn't care about. It's not like when, and spoilers here, a certain scientist dies in Mass Effect games. That was really sad. And I think that there's several situations in Mass Effect where that can happen. And certainly in some people's gameplay, it did happen. And I really hope that it exists in here, that they have the balls to do that, that they do develop that character depth that allows us to care about the characters. So whilst this video's title is about space exploration, I kind of wanted to actually really kind of sell people on the idea of the more character-based story aspects of Starfield, and away from if it's even going to be good at, space exploration specifically. Because for me, that's just a vehicle for a good story. It's not actually the story. We do also here have a quote from Jeff Brown, the lead level designer on Starfield. He said that whether it was seeing the moon through a telescope for the first time, a shuttle launch on TV, an image from the Hubble telescope, there was a point in his childhood with the realization of how small we are and how that shook him to the core. It was an unsettling but exciting feeling. He would let his imagination run wild and pretend he landed in a spaceship on a planet no one had been at before, and think about the wonder and excitement and sense of danger that he would feel when exploring this surface. And then he would go back to his ship and fly to the next planet, and the journey would start all over again. And to me, that really, as the level designer, tells me where their head is at. But again, I really hope that they do also focus on the characters, because that's really part of the exploration. Should be a vehicle for developing characters. It shouldn't necessarily be the end goal, because there's a certain amount of novelty that's lost when you only focus on the, space exploration and you don't focus on the character development. So again, I really hope they don't go down that route, and the level designer obviously isn't going to be thinking too much about that, but it should at least be in their mind to an extent, and it doesn't seem that it was in that quote, but hopefully, the team in general could have changed the mind since then, so we'll see. Anyway guys, have a great day. Until next time, make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you guys around. GG, I'm out, subscribe.